Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. My name is Mike Moon. I represent the Missouri 29th Senate District. Here to present Senate Bill 452. And the basics of this is pretty simple. It's just that it would provide income tax deduction for overtime worked in the state of Missouri. We're in unique times, I think, in our state and even in our country today, where there is a consistent shortage of workers across our land. And it seems like that those who have an entrepreneurial spirit, who want to do well and provide for not just themselves, but to improve their employers' success, will volunteer for overtime work. And so this particular bill is just to give them a bit of an incentive to do the work as they can, and provide a little bit of relief from that overtime pay, which is about 5.5%, I think, on that from the state's perspective. And I'd like to draw your attention to the Missouri Constitution, Article 1, Section 2. It states in part that all persons have a natural right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, and the enjoyment of the gains of their own industry. And this is just another way that the state can say, we value you as a worker, and we acknowledge the contribution that you're making for your employer and the state, and without having to add it to their bottom line, we can add it to their bottom line nonetheless.
Thank you, Senator. Any questions from the committee on Senate Bill 452? Senator Beck.
So, Senator, this only applies to hourly workers? Yeah, it would have to be, because some other people are exempt. I was just curious if it's even in the right section, or if it's in the where it's supposed to be. So, okay. Thank you. It is. Thanks, Josh.
Any further questions for the bill sponsor? Senator Esslinger.
So, just real quick, he brought that up, so it makes me wonder. There are salaried, contracted people that do give above and beyond to make sure that our state runs accordingly. I'm curious as to what you would do to offset that, so that one group of people, just because of the way in which they're paid, are not being considered for this kind of.
Well, I'm open to discussion on that. I know that when I worked for an employer, I was salaried, and they were gracious to give comp time, so I was able to offset any overtime worked. It wasn't 100%, but within reason for time that I could do things on my own.
Any further questions for the bill sponsor? I'm going to go ahead. We're going to go ahead and take roll. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Senators Hoskins.
Here.
Esslinger.
Here.
Beck. Eigel. Fitzwater. Huff. Roberts. We have 4 present, 3 absent.
We do have 4 present and 3 absent, and do have a quorum. First up to testify in favor of Senate Bill 452. Anyone here to testify in favor? Anyone here to testify in opposition of Senate Bill 452? Anyone here to testify for informational purposes only for Senate Bill 452? Seeing none. Senator, do you have any final closing remarks? Yes, Senator Beck.
Sorry, I have one more question. So the fiscal note says $318 million, I guess, in the first year, and then $308 million, and then $302. But I didn't see any local part, because there's other parts of the state where they get earnings income. So I guess that would have a local effect also. Are you just talking about the state funds?
You could be right. I'll dig in and see if I can find more detail on that. Thanks for bringing that up.
Thank you.
Senator, do you have any final closing remarks? Thank you. Thank you. That concludes the hearing on Senate Bill 452. Next, we're going to go ahead and go into exec session before we hear Senate Bill 413. I move that we go into exec session. I do have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. We are in executive session. I move that we bring Senate Bill 277 before the committee. Do I have a second? I do have a second. This bill is before the committee. Senate Bill 277 adds 4 additional members to the MDFB board, which consists of 2 members from the Senate and 2 members from the House, 1 from the majority and 1 from the minority party. Any discussion on that?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I just wanted to make the comment that that's really not proportionate to the makeup of the Senate or the House, but I understand what you're doing. Appreciate it.
Well, I'd considered maybe having a half member from the minority, but they get a half a vote, but quarter vote, but it was almost impossible. I now move that we do pass Senate Bill 277. Do I have a second? I do have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senators Hoskins,
Aye.
Esslinger,
Aye.
Beck, Eigel, Fitzwater, Huff, Roberts. 4-0 with 3 absent.
By your vote of 4-0, you have voted do pass Senate Bill 277. I now move that we go out of executive session. Do I have a second? Second. I do have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. I do have we have moved out of executive session. Now we'll go back to the hearing on Senate Bill 413, and I'll turn it over to Senator Esslinger.
I can do it. I even have more of a voice. Just agree with me.
You may have gave it to Senator Moon, though.
I think so. I feel bad whenever I see somebody cough or sneeze. Okay. You may begin anytime you're ready, Senator Hoskins.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the committee. For the record, State Senator Denny Hoskins here today to present Senate Bill 413, dealing with Angel Investment Incentive Act. The purpose of this tax credit is to incentivize more private investment for companies looking to start and locate in Missouri. Currently, the state of Kansas has an angel credit, and our DED has tracked several promising startups that are locating just across the border in Kansas City, Kansas, because of the investment money they are able to access in part due to the utilization of the angel credit. Similar scenarios have been found in southwest Missouri with companies locating in northwest Arkansas, as Arkansas has a similar type of incentive program called the Strategic Value Income Tax Credit. Missouri Technology Corporation would be the administrator of the tax credit because they consistently have their finger on the pulse of new businesses and startups in the state. It would have a $6 million cap. It would sunset in 2032, and there would be a certain amount allocated to each congressional district to represent equal opportunity across the state. This is a bill that I'd filed several years ago, and it's, I guess, being resurrected again. So with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions for the senator? Seeing none. Do we have anybody who would like to testify in favor of? Please come forward. Please leave your witness form. Please state your name and who you're representing.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Madam Chairman and committee. Ben Johnson, by day with BioSTL in St. Louis, but here representing the Next Missouri Coalition. Next Missouri is a coalition of entrepreneurs, and they'll support them from across the state. 500 entrepreneurs and individuals, 70-plus organizations from every corner, from the Chambers of Commerce in Kansas City and St. Louis to the Joplin Chamber to the Kirksville Regional Economic Development Center, and every corner of our state in between. And we came together a number of years ago to support the creation of new businesses in the state. The data will tell us 80% of the job growth in Missouri comes from new businesses less than 5 years old. They are the net job creator of our state. And so we've got a platform of how can we be more supportive of the growth of new businesses here? How do we open opportunity by creating less red tape? How do we make sure there's the right kind of funding, the right kind of capital at the right time in every corner of Missouri? And this bill certainly fits into that category. How do we make sure our entrepreneurs have knowledge of how to start a business, where to get the support that they need? This angel credit is critical to unlocking the private capital markets in the state. Missouri has great ideas and great entrepreneurs, but we traditionally have less capital, that beyond friends and family capital, than many other communities, especially on the coasts, and as the senator said, even some of our neighboring states. This will catalyze that market pull. Right? It's a tool to unlock private capital. It augments some of the smart investments our state has made with its own general revenue dollars, utilizing federal dollars to help get those businesses started. But this makes sure that those businesses take root in our state right when they hit that critical job and wage growth path. Recently, the Missouri Technology Corporation did an intense year-and-a-half statewide strategic planning process called the Catalyzing Innovation in Missouri Strategy. More than 500 individuals, 6 regional, 2 statewide focus groups. And how do we maximize the economic development gains of our innovation and entrepreneurship? And the angel credit really emerged as if not the top policy priority. As the senator said, particularly in Kansas City, increasingly in Springfield, it's Missouri ingenuity that's creating these new businesses, that's starting these ideas, but they're stealing our job growth and our economic gains. And so this would level the playing field, ensuring that as these companies take off, that takes place here. Especially in these earliest, riskiest stages, right? The state can't and shouldn't be supplanting the private markets and private capital. This really functions at that earliest, riskiest stage where in most communities across the country, but especially here outside of the coast, those capital markets don't function very effectively. And so whether that is in our rural and distressed communities or anywhere statewide, this provides flexibility in the types of capital. Not every business and every community needs the same type of money. And so this provides some flexibility while also being structured to ensure that the capital is catalytic. It's not capital that's already coming into the deal. It's catalyzing new capital. There are caps per company, per investor, to ensure that we're really creating new economic activity. And importantly, there's mechanisms for ensuring that the credits are equally available across the state. I happen to be from St. Louis, but I'm representing a statewide coalition, and it's really important that these credits, that this capital be equally accessible in every community across Missouri. And so there's a mechanism in the bill to ensure that the capital is equally accessible. So on behalf of Next Missouri, our new businesses, entrepreneurs across the state, I encourage you to please advance this angel credit. It will fuel this smoldering, emerging fire of entrepreneurship that we have in the state and ensure that the job growth and the wage growth that we really care about in Missouri stays here in Missouri. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Are there any questions for this witness? Senator Beck.
So we have a Cortex in St. Louis. Is that something that would be involved with what we're doing here?
Very much so. Cortex is a member of the coalition. For my day job, we helped launch Cortex in 2004. My office is in Cortex. Cortex is just one example of the concentration of innovation activity in Missouri where companies like this could locate. But the credits are available to companies in Cortex, outside of Cortex in the region.
Isn't there currently credits available to Cortex now, or companies in Cortex?
There are not credits to the companies to help fuel the company's growth. So, for example, MDFB, our last project, the MDFB credits can help provide infrastructure in a district like Cortex, roads, sewers, those sorts of things, to help give place for the companies. There currently are not credits that help the companies grow, help them acquire customers, help them de-risk their technology and innovation, the things that prove their business model, that help them grow revenues, hire people, and pay wages. So it's a different credit in that way.
Okay. And these are mostly technological companies, I guess, or companies, bioscience and other things that you've got listed here?
Yeah, so the angel credits, angel investment are typically to hire.
What does angel mean, first off?
That's,
Help me with
sorry,
that.
I should have started there. Angels are usually the first investors into companies outside of friends and family, so-called angels, because they're helpful at providing capital that traditional investors don't, right? Banks don't provide loans at these stages. Larger private equity kinds of investment typically don't happen at this stage. And so angels come in at this riskiest point. Often in high-tech companies or high-growth companies where there's a lot of technological risk before customers are buying products. And so this would help where ideas start here. We would be able to bring in private investment to help them grow. And then when banks and other capital come in, they can fuel that growth further.
Thank you.
Any other questions for this witness? Seeing none? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Are there any other folks that would like to testify in favor of? Good afternoon, Phil.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Philip Arnzen with the Missouri Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We'd like to go on record in support. Anything we can do to help entrepreneurs and attract talent to our state is beneficial, and having homegrown businesses to our state as well is also a good thing to have. There are also Missouri's become a top state for tech as well. Numerous areas were in the top 10 for such as women in tech or tech manufacturing. And so we'd like to continue that trend and make sure that capital is coming to our state and staying in our state.
Questions for this witness? Seeing none, please leave witness form. Next. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Members of the committee, Chuck Pierce, representing Associated Industries of Missouri. Go on record in support. Really don't have anything to add to the other two witnesses. Happy to answer questions.
All right, are there any questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Do we have anybody else who would like to testify in favor of? Seeing none, is there anybody here that would like to testify in opposition to? Seeing none, informational purposes only. Seeing none, Senator, do you have any closing remarks?
No. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Seeing no further business come before the committee, I move that we adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. We are adjourned.